A man named Kevin stumbles into a narrow alley. His face is bruised, and confusion clouds his mind. He has no memory of how he arrived here or how long he had been unconscious. Out of nowhere, a figure appears, introducing himself as the benefactor. This stranger claims he can provide answers and offers Kevin a role in his service. Kevin declines immediately, insisting he must return to his wife. The benefactor calmly explains that this isn't an accident and that the police can't help, because Kevin has slipped into a different version of reality. The benefactor takes him to a small cafe where, strangely, everyone greets Kevin as if they've known him for years. A waitress named Tina leads them to a table, though her unease is obvious. During their tense conversation, Kevin realizes the benefactor is no ordinary man. He is, in fact, the devil himself. Smirking, the benefactor ridicules Kevin's faith and shifts the subject toward his marriage. When Tina serves the food, he commands her to sit with them and forces her to take a bite, though she trembles with fear. He continues to speak of Kevin's wife Molly, reminding Kevin of an argument that morning about overdue bills. Kevin cannot recall this, but the benefactor explains that reality is layered with countless variations, where every choice branches into a different path. According to him, endless worlds exist where each decision plays out differently, and there are powers capable of shuffling people between these timelines, exchanging them with counterparts who made different choices. This, the benefactor claims, is his work, and he has swapped Molly several times already. Kevin refuses to believe it and demands evidence. The benefactor then offers to demonstrate with Tina. Adjusting a strange device on his wrist, Tina begins to sob in terror. Suddenly, Kevin sees her parents appear behind her, pleading. Overcome with guilt, he begs the benefactor to stop, but Tina vanishes before his eyes. The benefactor explains coldly that she has been cast into a world where she was never born, locked away now in a hospital as a result. Shaken, Kevin demands to know why he was chosen. The benefactor replies that he wants Kevin to become one of his shifters, people who surrender their souls in exchange for the ability to move others across alternate universes. All the other versions of Kevin have already accepted, leaving only him. Desperate, Kevin begins to pray silently, calling for God's help. Enraged, the benefactor screams that he surpasses God and will never release Kevin. But the louder he curses, the more Kevin prays, until finally the devil vanishes, leaving Kevin behind in this twisted world. Horrified by what has happened, Kevin apologizes to Tina's grieving family and departs. But when he steps outside, the streets are unrecognizable. Police patrol in eerie masks, and nearly everything is forbidden. 5 years later, Kevin still remains trapped in this broken reality, scarred by a war that wiped out much of humanity. Out of the chaos rose the shifters, once hidden but now openly removing people who oppose the regime. Billions disappeared before the benefactor emerged, stripping away humanity's last fragments of faith. His goal was to gather new recruits for his cause, until Kevin appeared. It was after that forbidden prayer that Kevin was branded a fugitive, the man who rejected the devil's bargain. From then on, Benefactor tried 7 different times to make him surrender. But Kevin resisted every attempt, even while suffering cruel punishments. Covering his wounds with makeshift bandages, he hears an advertisement for the Vika Theater, a place where visitors can glimpse their doubles from parallel realities. At the same time, rumors spread that the mysterious shifters have vanished from this world. Nobody really knows who the shifters are, only that they walk between universes unnoticed and wear any face they choose. Kevin's only wish is to acquire the device the shifters wear on their wrists, a tool that allows them to cross between worlds, because with it, he could finally return to his true home. Until then, he continues working his regular job, where his only companion is his trusted friend Gabriel. After each shift, Kevin wanders into the city's bleak slums, where most people barely survive. Here, hope is a luxury no one can afford. Though sacred texts are outlawed, Kevin has memorized long passages and secretly shares them with Gabriel, always clinging to memories of his wife and the day their son was born. But his dreams of family always twist into nightmares. One evening, Gabriel questions him, was rejecting the benefactor really wise? If Kevin has never received divine help, maybe there was never a higher power at all. Kevin counters by reminding him of the words of Scripture, but Gabriel struggles to believe in any promised deliverance. Shaken, Kevin makes his way to the Vika Theater, owned by his acquaintance Russo. Russo has long been obsessed with finding his missing cat and doesn't welcome visitors, but grudgingly allows Kevin to join a session. In the past, people came to this place to glimpse happier versions of themselves, escaping sorrow for a moment. But now, audiences crave visions where they are treated even worse than reality, feeding off despair. Russo cannot control what appears. He merely operates the machine. This time, Russo hands Kevin the remote, warning him that each vision depends on the number of alternate selves he has. Kevin begins the sequence hoping desperately to see Molly. The images roll before him, Kevin as a criminal, then a lover, then a prisoner, then a drunk, and then, suddenly, Molly appears. Kevin leaps to his feet, and instantly the session cuts off. Russo doubts what Kevin saw was real, but schedules another viewing regardless. Stepping outside, Kevin is caught in chaos, crowds clashing with armed police. After years away, Benefactor has returned, and soldiers are executing anyone who stirs unrest. Gabriel drags Kevin to safety as bullets fly, and together they hide in a deserted building. That night, while gathering supplies, Kevin is struck by a memory. Years ago, while shopping, he and Molly had paused to chat with friends, and in that brief distraction their little boy wandered off. He was never seen again. The family couldn't endure the grief. Arguments consumed their home, and Molly drowned her pain in drink. It was during that time that Kevin gave her a pendant etched with a resurrection emblem, an act of love she rejected, tossing it aside. Kevin flees down the street and runs into his neighbor, who kindly invites him inside, introducing his wife and 2 daughters. Just as Kevin prepares to leave, the family suddenly restrains him, recognizing him as the man who once rejected the devil's contract. Kevin denies it, but the daughters begin to sing an old hymn, and the sound breaks him, bringing tears to his eyes. Hungry to know more about God, the neighbors beg him for a story, and Kevin retells the parable of Job. Suddenly, alarms echo outside. Switching on the television, they hear that Benefactor has returned, once again demanding Kevin's compliance. Citizens chosen for this mission must appear at a designated site or face execution. The next morning, Kevin heads once more to the Vika Theater. Russo is pale with fear at Benefactor's presence and lets Kevin inside only after hesitation, still grieving the loss of his cat, missing for 4 years. Russo confesses he doubts she'll ever return, though a shred of hope lingers. Kevin straps into the vision chair, desperate, and this time sees Molly again. In this world, she is with her mother and raising a young daughter, and she wears a pendant marked with the resurrection emblem. Kevin knows instantly that this is his true Molly, but Russo admits he has no way of locating her without the wrist device of the shifters. Determined, Kevin turns to Gabriel, obtaining illegal weapons with the plan of forcing Benefactor to send him back to his original life. The next day, he spots Benefactor in a cafe, recruiting yet another follower, but police block the streets, making it impossible to get close. As a brawl erupts nearby, Kevin seizes the moment and rushes into the cafe, only to find himself abruptly standing in his own bedroom. Confused, he steps outside but is immediately met by armed officers, forcing him back inside. Several more attempts end the same way, gunfire and dead ends. In despair, Kevin discards the weapon and prays. But instead of God, Benefactor appears alongside Gabriel, who coldly denies ever knowing him. The devil ridicules Kevin, mocking his faith in, quote, "who guard fragile words." He sneers that no divine rescue will ever come. The only path to survival is through him. He refuses to reveal anything about Kevin's lost son, instead pointing out that across all alternate Kevins, only this one defied him. Suddenly, screams erupt outside. Kevin rushes to the door and sees his neighbor executed by police. Bullets rip through his room. Kevin collapses beside Gabriel, only to realize his friend is already dead. Then Kevin notices something. On his own wrist gleams the very shifter's device. Horrified, he realizes he has been one of Benefactor's pawns all along. Ripping the device off, Kevin triggers it and vanishes into another world. He lands in a vast desert. Activating it again, he plunges into a lake, but the landscape is still foreign. Again and again he shifts, never home. In one reality, he materializes in a psychiatric ward, surrounded by shifters all wearing Gabriel's face. They raise their weapons. Kevin bolts, hiding in a side room, where he suddenly finds Tina. She recognizes him instantly and begs to be sent back to her family. Kevin triggers the device once more and arrives in the home of a doppelganger, his other self, the one who accepted Benefactor's deal. This version of Kevin raises a gun, demanding the wrist device. A struggle breaks out, and Kevin narrowly shifts away, reappearing inside his own apartment riddled with bullet holes. Kevin watches as his neighbor is carried away in an ambulance, while strangers on the street whisper his name. With no time to lose, he rushes back to Russo's Vika Theater. Strapping himself into the chair, he locates Molly and punches the coordinates into the wrist device. Instantly, he is standing inside a large market where his wife is shopping with friends. Tears stream down his face as he sees her, but Molly reminds him that their marriage ended because of his choices. She has built a new life, found someone else, and she is content. Spotting the pendant on her, Kevin confesses he still believes they can mend what was broken. Suddenly, Benefactor wrenches him back into the authoritarian world, seated once more in Russo's theater, this time with Tina beside him. The devil shows Kevin an image of Molly sobbing after their encounter, taunting him with the promise that she could still be his. But in the shadows, Tina weeps, shattered, and Kevin alone must decide whose life to restore. Benefactor launches into a furious speech about God, claiming he misleads humanity with empty promises while allowing endless suffering. At that moment, a sound breaks through. Russo's missing cat meows, alive and back at last. Kevin bursts into laughter, suddenly reminded that even in darkness, good can still return. Choosing selflessness over desire, he gives Tina her freedom. Reunited with her parents, she collapses into their arms. Enraged, Benefactor seizes a gun and aims it at Kevin. But by rejecting selfish temptation and breaking free from the devil's snare, Kevin is instantly shifted into another reality, the one where Molly is a nurse, raising her daughter alone. Approaching her gently, he recreates their very first meeting, and soon love blossoms anew. They marry, and Kevin embraces her little girl as his own. Not long after, they welcome a baby boy into their family. In the epilogue, Kevin reflects that though this universe is not the one he came from, it has become his true home, where he has gained far more than he ever lost. What begins as a tale of science fiction evolves into a mystical drama with a spiritual core. The narrative echoes the themes of the Book of Job, questioning pain and faith, yet closing with a parable of redemption. And who can say that hope is ever a weakness?